Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: people who don't get stressed during a presentation, school or work. What's your secret? I get so stressed before the presentation that the actual presentation comes as a relief. That's my secret, Captain. I'm always stressed. I used to get super nervous before any sort of public speaking event. Shaky hands, sweating, nausea, the whole 9 yards. Eventually I landed a job as a corporate trainer. I was desperate for a job and dollar, so I just had to get up in a room of 30 plus people every day and present the training material and answer questions. Honestly, I just pretended I didn't care and faked it till I made it. Now, it actually doesn't bother me to speak in front of a group. If this is a challenge that you are facing, maybe look into local public speaking groups such as Toastmasters. If you're able to stow the nerves and act confidently, faking it, you might realize that you're actually quite knowledgeable about what you're presenting, assuming you know the material. It becomes a feedback loop of confidence. Assuming you know the material. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Importance cannot be overstated. Assuming you know the material. Back in my 2020s I worked for a software company. Part of what I did was training. Most up to this point had been 1 or 2 people in front of a PC. Suddenly I was being sent across the country to train a room full of people at a major pharmaceutical company. Yeah, I was stressed. Best piece of advice my boss gave me: remember, you already know the material better than they do. Honestly, just remembering that most likely, no one is paying attention anyway, especially if it's school. If you're in school, literally nobody cares about your presentation. Unless you're into what you're doing. Then all those shitheads decide to start fucking with you and ask questions that seem to be related but really aren't, so you have no idea how to answer. Public speaking doesn't bother me if I know the material really well. Know what you're talking about and you'll be fine. Don't be afraid to not know something too. If someone asks you something you don't know, just say so. Yeah, a presentation is much easier to give when you are the expert in the room. Also, if asked a question, don't spout off bullshit if you don't know, just say that's a great question, I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head, but let me get back to you. Also, the only person that's going to lose sleep over your bad presentation is yourself. So don't be so hard on yourself. Experience. I used to get nervous and now I don't. Not sure when or why that happened. U/tap review. This is the boring, unappealing but best answer. I was constantly nervous in any speaking situation. It didn't matter if it was just an informal presentation to my research group or a big talk at a conference. I stuttered and struggled through every talk. Over the course of a few years, I did public lectures to hundreds of people, I ran a D&D game, and ended up in a corporate job where, at one point, I found myself giving a talk every day for a month. Now, I'm completely confident in any public speaking situation. I'll talk about basically anything in front of any group willing to listen. I totally sympathize with anyone who finds this advice terrifying, but you can't do better than just getting experience. Find opportunities to talk in a formal context, pick small groups or topics you feel really confident in, but struggle through the embarrassment until you don't care anymore. Exactly. You just gotta do it more and more, and eventually you realize your level of apprehension ahead of a presentation is almost nil. I think age is a factor also. The older you get, the less you care what people think. Preparation. I know that may sound like a cheap answer, but that's honestly my best hedge against anxiety. Edit, thanks for them silver coins. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I like this. But what if my plan is to fail? Alternatively, do so many unprepared presentations that it becomes natural. This has been my tactic. At least I'm well rested when it is time to panic. I don't remember the people that bombed presentations because those aren't formative memories. No matter how much I bomb this presentation, no one will remember in a month, especially since they are stressed about their own presentation. I don't know, I still remember the guy in 7th grade who misread the word cities as shitties when reading aloud. Yeah, I remember a few years ago in college we all had to do presentations and one guy went up there without any notes and was the most stressed I've ever seen someone doing a presentation. Like could barely speak or remember what he was supposed to be saying, and when he did speak he kept pausing for a good 10 to 15 seconds mid-sentence and between sentences. I have no fucking clue why he didn't bring up flashcards at least. He sounded like he was about to burst into tears for the whole thing. It was absolutely awful to watch and vividly sticks in my memory because presentations make me very anxious too, and I just felt so bad for him. And any time I feel like not strenuously preparing / practicing for a presentation, the memory motivates me to just do it so I don't end up like him, lol. I'm vain and I love attention. How I handle boring shit, that's where the neuroses are. LMAO, I love the self-awareness. You're probably a hell of a presenter. I was gonna say all sorts of stuff about how I won my school's public speaking contest by just embracing the audience and knowing that people actually respect the courage it takes to speak in front of others, and how you gotta know with yourself that, since speaking comes naturally in all other situations, the same can apply to public speaking, etc. But then I read your comment and realized this is really all there is to it. You gotta like the attention. Yep, this is the often overlooked secret about people who are good at things, they usually enjoy doing it. For something that I haven't seen posted yet. Know what you have to say is important. Tell yourself that you know what you are doing, and that other people need to hear what you have to say. I've attended several research conferences. I notice the boomer-aged presenters just gaff and read directly from cards without looking up once. If it helps, it doesn't really matter if you are a subject matter expert with several dozen peer-reviewed papers or a student. I think most people get nervous speaking in front of crowds. Just remind yourself that it's okay. This is what I tell my so who is a research scientist. People are coming to listen to your words. You know your research backwards and forwards. You know it by heart. Talk to them like you're talking to a friend who is genuinely interested in what you have to say, because they are. My dad is a research scientist too, lol. Be dead inside. Finally. An achievable answer. Deleted. I mean, it sounds terrible, but this is how it worked for me. I just burnt up a lifetime of anxiety and now it gaff. This is the way. Stop caring about everything and nothing bothers you. How you prepare is key. Don't write a word-for-word speech. Develop your presentation in the form of questions that you can answer. That way, when you get off of your plan, or have a question pop up that you didn't explicitly plan for, you're already in the mindset of solving a problem rather than reciting a speech. It allows you to pivot and improvise much more effectively. Haha. I write the speech word for word so that I have an idea of what I want to say and feel like I'm prepared. But I never try to read it off or memorize it. I just speak about the topic and use my general memory of what I had written as signposts in my mind of what my main points are. I feel like being forced to write the speech, even without the intention of reciting it, forces me to gather the information and my thoughts in a logical way. There is also some security in knowing that if worst comes to worst and I get too overwhelmed or nervous, I could find the notes and read it verbatim. Although I've never gotten to this point, knowing I could makes me more confident. Stop giving a fuck. You have reached the point of fuck it, good enough. Would you like to continue progress at a 2x time and stress penalty, or quit now? A. Good enough. Mediocrates. Just inflate your ego. Think the listeners are stupid and won't notice any mistakes. Sounds rude, but works. To be honest, that's really what happens usually. People are not professional critics or anything. That's my secret. I'm always stressed. I'm always stressed too. Couple of things that worked really well for me: dressing up. At least personally, when I throw on a suit and tie, I feel unstoppable. Knowing that I at least look nice can take the edge off the fear of not doing well. If you can, try to memorize, or at least be very familiar, with the first paragraph or so of your speech. Maybe you don't have time to prep for the whole thing, but if you can start off strong, you'll feel a lot more comfortable for the rest of the speech, plus you'll have made a good impression on the crowd already. Note cards help. Take some time and watch some TED Talks on YouTube. Find somebody whose presenting style you vibe with, then try to model your style after them. Don't be afraid to admit if you don't know something. If your presentation has a Q/A and you get asked a difficult question, it's way better to just say I'll look into this and get back to you with an answer than to just flounder and try to BS something. Hope this helps. Double shot of whiskey. Really helped me during show and tell in 4th grade. Ush. If you are old enough to be drinking in all seriousness, my former roommate had mentioned doing a shot or drinking a beer before interviews, so I tried a beer before each of the 2 biggest major speaking milestones in my degree program, and they definitely helped. Didn't cure the stress, but definitely made it easier to focus on what I was doing and focus less on my stress. I also have had really bad public speaking fear. Giving lots and lots of, occasionally really bad, presentations has definitely helped. Also, I ended up giving a lot of my presentations fully scripted. It's not great, but it was a heck of a lot better than the alternative. Lastly, at this point I know that at least I can't do worse than that one presentation I gave a couple years ago. Which is oddly freeing. It was horrible, and I survived, and I never have to face those people again.